What's up guys, Taylor here with BoogeyLights. Today we're going to be installing a full perimeter underglow package on this 2021 Keystone Montana fifth wheel. Now this particular model has been really tricky to get the light attached to the bottom. The main reason being that it is fully enclosed in Coroplast, which we see often on these models. However, that Coroplast has an almost felt-like material on top of it, which makes the lights very difficult to get to stick to or mount any sort of metal or plastic, anything like that. So let's go down underneath and take a look. All right, here we are underneath the fifth wheel. Let me show you what I was talking about with the Coroplast bottom with that felt material. So just your regular Coroplast, but then on the outside, it's kind of hard to tell, but there's some fibers here, and this whole bottom is almost a felt-like material, which makes the lights impossible to stick to. So we ran through a couple different options. One was just riveting some metal up on into the Coroplast here. However, that does not hold. The backside of that rivet just pops right through. So then I went with a lighter option with the plastic channels, and that also pulled right through. Thought about taking the Coroplast completely down and bolting the metal to it. However, these nails that they use are actually these powder nails that they blast right in there through that steel, so those aren't coming out. Next, I thought about building some sort of bracket for each side to mount the metal to, which you could maybe do over here. However, over here he's got this piping and stuff, so you really couldn't build much of a bracket there. So what we settled on and talked with the client about is actually cutting some holes in each part there of the Coroplast and putting a little piece of aluminum flat stock on the back side of that, and then riveting the flat stock through to that, so it holds. It has a backing on it that won't pull down through that Coroplast there. So for about a third of the underbelly here, there's actually some cross braces that you can push up and feel. There's one right there. Seemed to be one every couple feet down here, so I was actually able to just rivet straight in where those beams are. I put 2 rivets in each just to make sure, because you got that added weight of that Coroplast kind of sagging down on it. However, for the entire back and then all the way starting right here with this piping is the last cross beam I could find. So the rest of it we had to do is cut those hole method there, and we got one more left to do over here, so we're going to go ahead and get that done now and show you how we do it. Now we're going to go ahead and cut about a 4-inch piece here in the Coroplast. We're going to take our bracket here, going to kind of slide it up through. Once you get to here, you can use your 2 fingers to feed the rest of the way in. And make sure your fingers are spaced there so you don't put the drill bit right up through them. Next, we're going to grab our rivet. And there you have it. Now we'll come back over and seal up each one of these holes here, but this should be nice and firm now. Okay, so now that we have our metal placed starting right here all the way to the rear, next is this drop down box that we have here. What I ended up doing was putting a 90-degree plastic here and ended up riveting it in, and the reason I did that is so that when the strip gets laid here on the inside of this 90, the outside of it will actually hide the LEDs. If you weren't to do that and you were to put it right there on the edge of that frame, which is really the only other option you would have, you would actually see those lights when you're walking up to the rig. So we don't want that, so by putting that 90 there, it hides those LEDs. Then I ended up doing something similar for the rear. You can see here he's got his tow bar there, and that's really the only place that you could put the strip. But then, as I stated earlier, as you're walking up to it, you would end up seeing those strips. What I did is I also put another 90 on the back side of this tow bar here, so it's kind of hidden, so the actual front of it will hide the LEDs, so you'll still get the nice glow from them, but you won't actually see the strips. So as you can see, we've got almost all of our strips mounted, just the front left to do. But we went ahead and stuck them right to our aluminum flat stock there, and they run all the way down the side here. We got one across the rear, and then the same thing. Ended up being 3 pieces per side, and 1 for the back and 1 for the rear. We have our jumper running all the way from where our battery is, and it runs all the way along this piping here, runs all the way back here, and that's where our connections are made from the rear. So I have these 2 strips starting right there, and they run up inside this plastic fairing there, and then same thing with that rear one. I have it running on top of that 90-degree plastic piece that we use for the rear. Then all 3 of them join up and they run to right here where they connect with the jumper. For the right side here, I have this wire running along the piping here, and then it joins up with the other side as well as that jumper that runs all the way to the rear, and then those 3 then run up where they are going to run in to the battery bay with this side piece and this front one up here. Right side side one is actually just gonna go straight up and in with our jumper from the awning lights he's got put on here. All right, now that the middle and rear are done, we went ahead and got the front strips mounted to that plastic 90 that runs along the sides towards the front here. We got the one strip across front and then the same thing on the passenger side. All of those wires lead right up into where our controller is mounted. So all the wires come in right there. Put our controller all nice and neat up here. Top part there is running to his awning lights, and then the bottom part of the dual zone is running to his entire underglow, so you can just control everything from one dual zone controller. There's all our connections connecting straight to the battery, and he's good to go.